Take a look at the logo on the cover for Matou no Houkai. See how that last character is falling apart? That one basically means destruction, and it's being destroyed. It's a very clever bit of design. You might also have noticed that I got off the title screen awfully fast, and that's because it flickers a lot. It has an effect where it changes up the whole image every couple of frames, so I had to cut around that. What you might have missed, because I cut away so quickly, is that Matou no Houkai has a subtitle, The Hero of Babel, and that ties into the game's plot. In ancient times, people built a tall tower to reach God, and because they were trying to reach video game God instead of Old Testament God, he filled the tower with monsters to chase people off. Now that backstory is given in 2 paragraphs in the manual. The plot of the game is given half of one line. Koibito must rescue his girlfriend. Oh, there's also a part 2 of the plot listed on the next line. Destroy the tower. I'm used to video game plots being thin, but I can't recall one that went that hard on detail and that light on plot. The way the game really works is that you're essentially climbing the tower. And in the tower areas that you're passing through, your goal is to find a key and then get to the exit door. After you leave the tower stages, there are long hallways you have to traverse, and then it's back to ascending, or very rarely descending. A jumps, B swings your sword, but both of those don't work quite the way you'd expect. For example, you automatically jump when you run into a surface, and that jump is terrible at clearing gaps. It looks like you could just barely clear a 2-step gap, but you can't manage that, you'll miss. In fact, you pass through terrain a lot in this game. There are some bizarre, inconsistent things happening here when you run into objects. It makes all of the movement a bit flaky. As for your sword, well, you can duck and swing your sword, and you'll have to do that because a lot of enemies are small, and you use your sword to break walls to find items, and there's some bricks that are low to the ground that will block your path. One problem with this, though, is the special weapons. You'll find special weapons scattered through the game, and attacking with these uses up weapon points. That's the WP in the lower left-hand corner. You activate special weapons by pressing down and then hitting B, so you can't do low attacks with your sword anymore. But if you hit select, you can bring up this menu where you can equip different special weapons. Once any special weapon's been collected, you will always have one equipped. You can't just remove them. Now, if you don't have any weapon points, then you're allowed to crouch and attack again. Also, if you crouch and mash B, then you'll attack with the special weapon, and then attack with the sword. Of course, that costs some of your weapon points. You also have to crouch in order to collect chests. These can contain very useful things like the exit key, or more weapon points, or they can include things that will increase or decrease your health, or they might have luck inside them. You can see your current luck from the status screen in the menu, and what luck does is, Actually, the manual doesn't really explain what luck does. It implies that if you have a high luck, then you'll get more health refills from those boxes, but it's all kind of ambiguous. Navigating the tower is harder than it seems. There are a lot of hidden elevators that you have to use by standing on them and hitting up and down, and even some that swing right and left. The tower itself is only one screen across, so while there's horizontal scrolling, it loops back pretty much immediately. And of course, as a rule of thumb, the obvious short path is a trap. You want to go the long way around. The navigation challenges aren't just those hidden platforms. There are things like invisible doors and hidden chests that you have to find in order to get the exit key. In the hour that I played, it wasn't that bad. Things were signposted to some extent, and once you made it over the hurdle of understanding what the game wanted you to do, then it wasn't too difficult to apply that. But that doesn't mean it doesn't become unfair later. There are side rooms throughout the tower, doors where you can enter and talk to someone. If you lose a life by running out of health, then you reappear at the last door you exited from. You only have 3 lives in this game, and when those run out, it's back to the start of the tower. However, you do keep your experience. You get experience points by defeating monsters, and you have to have experience. For example, in the very first section, You have to earn 50 XP in order to get the first sub-weapon, and you need that sub-weapon in order to get the key. The monsters that appear give you 1 experience point, so you have to sit there and grind for a while just to exit this area. You level up every 100 experience, and that increases your maximum health bar, plus lets you do extra damage. The difference that extra damage makes is pretty significant. For example, it's nearly impossible when you start out to get through the connecting corridors. These infinitely spawning slimes drop on top of you, and then because of the way that getting hit knocks you around, while enemies can still move on top of you, you just take damage over and over again until you die. The slimes take 3 hits to destroy at first, and the only way I could figure out how to get through those passages was to turn around and let myself get hit so it would shove me toward the exit door. But after you've leveled up twice, well, you can take out those slimes fast enough that you can get through the corridor pretty easily. The levels make an even bigger difference against the boss enemies. You'll probably need to be level 3 before you can take out these giant skeletons. And I'm not sure how strong you have to be to really work on this scorpion. You can only damage it when it's jumping over you, and my damage output against it was so low that it was outpacing me. Basically what I'm saying is, get ready to grind a lot in this game. At least you can save your experience level to the disc. The response I found to Matou no Houkai among Japanese players might be the most strongly mixed one I've ever seen. A lot of people made fun of it and pointed out how it obviously did not compare well to certain other games, but there were also a lot of people who thought it was pretty clever. And I kinda get the mixed reception here. Matou no Houkai is a real mess of a game. It's a lot of systems that really don't work right. On the other hand, it's also not actively horrible, and it's got some clever ideas. I like how the tower is only 1 screen across, and you just keep circling. That makes for some pretty interesting level design. And I like the creative monsters. Not the slimes at the beginning, those are pretty standard, but the later areas have an interesting assortment of creatures. I think I'm going to come down on saying Matou no Houkai is not a good game, but at the same time, it's distinctive enough to be worth checking out. It's flaky and weird and broken, but that's what makes it interesting.